is everyone spiraling over YouTube banning ad blockers? Like, chill guys, just use Pi. It's a free Chrome extension and it basically blocks ads for you. And it actually gets cooler.
The secret Trump group chat leak situation just got worse, with top officials being grilled, admissions, denials, fallout, and possibly more leaked text to be released soon. Republicans are now moving to cripple the judiciary for standing in Trump's way, but we also need to break it down because it's actually a more complicated war on several fronts. The FBI just launched an anti-Tesla domestic terrorism task force, and I've also got just a good news story to keep you sane. We're talking about all that and much more on today's brand new Bill and Franco Show. You daily dive into the news, how it's being covered, and how people are reacting to it, starting with this. The fallout for this Trump signals, secret war plans, group chat scandal just keeps getting crazier and crazier. Which, if you missed yesterday's show, a quick 20-second recap. It appears that National Security Advisor Mike Waltz accidentally added The Atlantic's editor-in-chief, Jeffrey Goldberg, to a Signal group chat where the vice president and top cabinet officials discussed Yemen war plans in fine detail, with Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth reportedly texting precise information about weapons packages, targets, and timing. And you've got legal experts saying the whole thing, it could constitute violations of the Espionage Act and the Federal Records Act, not to mention a breach of national security. And it's not only because Goldberg was added to the chat, but because the chat existed in the first place. Where classified materials are not supposed to be on private messaging platforms like Signal. And so in the wake of all this, everyone involved has been absolutely ridiculed for what's widely being slammed as egregious incompetence and carelessness. So the same, for example, Jon Stewart taking a stab at the news on his show yesterday.
Yeah, back in my day, if you were a journalist who wanted leaked war documents, you'd work the sources, meet them in a dark garage, earn the trust, pound the pavement. Now, just wait for the National Security Advisor to be distracted by White Lotus while he's setting up his bomb group chat.
But there's also saying Hillary Clinton herself, who you might remember Donald Trump wanted to put in jail for her use of a private email server as Secretary of State, reacting to the news with, "You have got to be kidding." Though to be very clear here, it was not just Trump who called for her to be charged. Pete Hegseth, Marco Rubio, Mike Waltz, and John Ratcliffe, all of whom were in the Signal chat, did the same. With CNN even putting together a compilation of their past comments that have gone viral.
If there was anyone other than Hillary Clinton, they would be in jail right now.
Nobody is above the law, not even Hillary Clinton, even though she thinks she is.
Mishandling classified information is still a violation of the Espionage Act.
When you have the Clinton emails, on top of the fact that the sitting president of the United States admitted he had documents in his garage, but they didn't prosecute, they didn't go after these folks.
But also, if these people aren't going to be charged with crimes, at the very least, you have many critics calling for those officials to resign. With the same year, top Democrats on the House Armed Services, Intelligence, Foreign Affairs, and Oversight Committees all writing a letter to the White House demanding transparency, and specifically about any other instances in which senior officials discuss national security issues on unauthorized messaging.
Whoa, there's 10 people watching. What's up, Gamer Jazz? That came out of nowhere. Hi, Beji. How you doing?
Himself on the story because he later responded, telling NBC News, Mike Waltz has learned a lesson and he's a good man. And then, when asked how Goldberg got added to the chat, he said it was one of Michael's people on the phone. A staffer had his number on there. With Trump then expressing confidence in his team and saying he was not frustrated by the events leading up to the Atlantic story, and claiming it was, quote, the only glitch in 2 months, and it turned out...
Hi, Jerome. How are you doing, love?
This afternoon, Trump spoke at a press conference claiming there were no classified materials in the chat, smearing the Atlantic and Goldberg, and arguing that Signal is commonly used in the government.
If it was up to me, everybody would be sitting in a room together. The room would have solid lead walls and a lead ceiling and a lead floor. But, you know,
If you guys are lurking and you want to give the live a like, that would help a lot. I'm gonna start doing some self-care in a second. I look like a gremlin.
The severity of the mistake in a news briefing.
They've acknowledged that there was an error.
I've been so sore. I went to an anime convention and there was a rave and I hadn't gone dancing like in real life in a long time, so I danced way too hard. So like yesterday my body was just totally out of commission. My legs were not working. What is a juggalo? Why are you asking me what a juggalo is? A juggalo is like ICP, right? Like Insane Clown Posse fandom.
Nobody was texting.
Thank you, no
war
fucks.
plans, and that's all I have to say about that.
Sup, Sigma boy? Doing good, Jerome. How are you? Other than the soreness, I'm doing great.
Whether he's nitpicking the term war plans or just flatly denying reality.
Thank you.
By the way, you had Goldberg responding to that clip on MSNBC.
By the standard vernacular understanding.
For some reason, my mobile lives seem to get more traction. That's interesting. I wonder if there's like a different algorithm or how that works. Keep things within YouTube TOS or I'm gonna have to ban you. My channel is close to monetization. I'm not risking it. Y'all asking weird questions.
With one side saying one thing and one side saying
You'd be
another,
like,
a lot of people are like,
PG-13.
"Hey, why don't you just settle this by releasing the full text?"
Can you?
Recently,
Okay.
In an interview this morning with the Bulwark,
As you
Goldberg
wish.
said that while it's possible that he comes up with a plan to publicly vet the messages in the coming days, right now it appears he's just discussing how to handle it with his lawyers and colleagues, explaining.
Just because they're irresponsible.
Like, dude, there's websites for that. This is not one. This is not the website for that. You're in the wrong spot. There's millions of websites out there. It's not the site for that.
You don't need to be a Wall Street pro to trade like this. Instead of getting a finance degree, what if you could figure out when and where Wall Street institutions were buying and selling, so you can place trades and investments alongside them instead of against them? It's all about locating their financial footprints, and that's exactly what we'll show you in our free workshop. It's a true breakthrough for knowing when to buy and sell.
Thank you for so much for the like, no fucks.
This approach took over 290
I had wig glue in my hair too, and I was just like trying to soak it to get it out. I was just like rotting in the bathtub.
come from a variety of backgrounds, including
What type of music do I listen to? Everything. I really love drum and bass though.
know what they're talking about.
What about
Not
you?
only will begin learning how to mirror the trades on
Thank
Wall
you.
Street, but you'll also learn
Might want to like do like a conditioner treatment in my hair actually.
portfolio in a variety
We might do that.
of conditions. How professionals profit when stocks are falling. How to avoid common novice mistakes. When to buy and when to sell based on strategy.
with this material.
Right, and then this factual dispute was taken straight to the halls of Congress because this morning the Senate Intelligence Committee held a previously scheduled annual hearing where intelligence officials usually just present their assessment of the global threats facing the United States. But this time, right, with the breaking news, you had Democratic lawmakers using it as an opportunity to force two of the people.
Thank you,
Batiar.
Batiar.
CIA Director John Ratcliffe.
Where's your name from?
For example, Senator Mark Warner grilling Gabbard about one simple question: were you in the group chat or not?
Director Gabbard, did you participate in the group chat with Secretary of Defense and other Trump senior officials discussing the Yemen war plans?
I don't know if you guys can hear this video or
I don't
not.
want to get into the
Ma'am, were you on? You're not going to be willing to address it. So you're not, are you denying, Matt, will you answer my question, ma'am? You were not TG on this group chat?
I'm not going to get into the specifics.
So you
of the
refuse to
delivery.
acknowledge whether you were on this group chat?
I'm not going to get into the
Why are you going to get into specifics? Is it because it's all classified?
because this is currently under review by the National Security
Because it's
Council.
all classified? If it's not classified, share the text now.
There was no classified material that was shared in that.
So then,
signal
if there was no
chat.
classified material, share it with the committee. You can't have it both ways. These are important jobs. This is our national security.
We then saw him jump on Ratcliffe, the CIA director, who had no problem telling Warner that he was a member of the group chat, but then he went on to defend it, saying,
So that we're clear, one of the first things that happened when I was confirmed as CIA director was signal was loaded onto my computer at the CIA, as it is for most CIA officers. That is a practice that preceded the current administration to the Biden administration.
Director Ratcliffe, my understanding
It is permissible to use to communicate and coordinate for work purposes, provided, Senator, that any decisions
Yeah, I mean,
that
like,
are made are also.
I feel like there was that huge thing, like criticism towards Hillary for like emailing things and that not being secured. But then people are being hypocritical about this. But I mean, Signal, I think, is more secure than Telegram. I don't know if there's like a secret special government application, which maybe there should be other than like Signal, but as far as I know, Signal is like the most secure messaging app I've heard of. I don't know, man.
Recorded through formal channels.
Bombs
So
are bad, okay?
My
I don't like
communications,
bombs.
to be clear, in a Signal message
Thank you so much,
group
Moth. It's like
were
super faded,
entirely
but thank you.
permissible and lawful, and did not include classified
Where's that,
information.
okay?
We also saw Ratcliffe taking a beating from Senator Michael Bennett.
Did you know that the president's Middle East advisor was in Moscow on this thread while you were, as director of the CIA, participating in this thread? Were you aware of that? Are you aware of that today?
I'm not aware of that
This is an embarrassment. Senator, you need to do better.
You also notably had Gabbard seemingly denying that detailed war plans.
I will be right back. I have to get my
So
the attack
cosmetic box.
sequencing and timing and weapons and targets, you don't consider to.
How many
should
tats
have
in
been
total?
classified
Oh,
as
To the
shit.
Secretary of Defense, the National Security
One,
Council on that question.
2,
Well,
3,
you're the head of you're the head of the
4,
intelligence community.
5.
You're supposed to know about classifications.
So also, at another point, both of them deny not only that the information was
6,
classified, but that it wasn't even sent
7,
at all.
Did this conversation at some point
9,
include information on weapons packages, targets, or time?
11. 11.
Not that I'm aware of.
11 and a half. 11 and a half.
Director
Some of
Gabbard,
them are like little
same
chicken
question.
scratch bullshit that I did. That don't count.
Same answer, and defer to the Department of Defense on that question.
Well, those are two different answers.
And so with all this, you had John Ossoff just asking Ratcliffe straight up.
Director Radcliffe, this was a huge mistake, correct?
Wait. If you've taken
Wait.
Uber since 2019,
No.
No.
You know, right now, it's looking like this is far from the end of the story, especially since both Gabbard and Ratcliffe said that they are open to being audited.
I should
for
do
other
lives
private
on
message
YouTube
conversations. And
mobile
this is,
more.
you know, Democrats are chomping at the bit
I
for
don't
any
do that.
shred
I'm
of
so close to
accountability here with,
monetization. I really need to do more
for
lives on
example,
here.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer saying,
I am calling for a bipartisan investigation in the Senate of this mishandling. I am also calling for the defense IG to fully investigate.
But
My
also,
favorite is
another big
probably
aspect
my
of
new
this
neck
is
piece.
that
I just got it
looking like the
finished.
use of Signal and other encrypted messaging apps in the federal government, they're actually more the rule than the exception. Right? And that, in part, because more than 24 government workers told the Washington Post that federal bureaucrats have migrated to Signal en masse since Trump took office because it allows them to talk to each other without being scrutinized by higher-ups. There's reportedly one fired worker from the U.S. Digital Service who is in 8 private Signal groups with current and former federal employees, putting it bluntly, saying, I'm not sure there is any government worker right now who isn't talking to their colleagues on Signal. As well as others saying they worry their digital water cooler talk or questions about agency layoffs, return to office mandates, and administration policies could be perceived as disloyal. Right? So in an administration where employees feel like they can't speak freely for fear of losing their jobs, secrecy has become a valuable currency, not just at the top, but at the bottom as well. Though, to be very clear here, rank and file workers privately discussing their
Got these
employment or
earrings
whether
at
to
the
respond
convention,
to
you
what did you
guys.
do last week emails,
Pretty
that is
cute.
massively different.
I got another
completely
pair that I
different
haven't worn yet.
ballpark than what Trump's cabinet has been accused of both practically and legally. But then, next up from that, we got to talk about the FBI launching a Tesla task force to deal with the growing vandalism and threats targeting
Tesla
Tesla
task
locations.
force.
Because reportedly, in addition to peaceful protests across the country, there have been at least 80 reported cases
I
of vandalism.
don't agree with violent protests, guys. I don't agree with violent protests, for the record. I've gone to protests. I was not violent, but some people who would be not with movements would go out and be violent agitators to provoke violence within movements, which I witnessed, which was really horrible and led to really not good things. And I saw a activist, dear friend of mine, lovely, lovely human being, share a post that said it takes 3.5% of the population to do a non-violent revolution movement to enact change. And like there's a lot we can learn from previous generations and how speaking your voice actually does matter. And there's so many creative ways to do that that aren't violent or putting like working class people in danger. Ideally we don't want to kill like anybody or hurt anybody, even like people at the top, but there's people who are acting out of desperation, which is just not a good place to be. Yeah. What's up, Certified? Good to see you. I was at a protest years ago, White House. Died telling him lower people's rent, mortgage, food prices. Yeah, and it's really important to have that right to be able to non-violently express your concerns and protest, and it's really sad and scary to see some of those rights people are attempting to take away from people. That's where I think you get more violent situations. That's not good for anybody to take away, freedoms of speech and rights to protest.
Or arson of Tesla vehicles in the U.S. and Canada recently, and at least 10 Tesla centers have been targeted by vandals. We talked about this trend a little bit last week. It obviously comes to the company's CEO, Elon Musk. Has been facing tons of
for
backlash.
me, property is one thing. Yeah, like damaging property is not good, but I especially don't think people should be, hurting any like workers or people doing the jobs. I think I can't remember the full name of it. Bedstat, Belfast, something. I think they're in the UK, maybe in Ireland. It sounded like she had an Irish accent, but they went in the grocery stores and they started removing or separating certain products that supported certain things. That they're just informing people like, hey, when you buy this product, this is where the money is going to, which I think that is a great form of protest. Shave my hair. I actually, Simon, I have a video of me doing that if you're interested. I have videos of that, but my hair has been growing I've trimmed it here and there, but it's been growing since the shave for about 4 years now. Almost 4 years. I'm getting pretty long.
Yesterday, the New York Post reporting that the FBI created this task force in response to all of this, and that was eventually confirmed by the Bureau's Assistant Director for Public Affairs, who said that the group will work, quote, in conjunction with ATF to coordinate investigative activity and crack down on violent Tesla attacks.
And
With
it's
that,
sad,
you have FBI
certified, like, you mentioning that, because you said that was years ago, that you were protesting people's rent and food prices and stuff, and it's gone up since. It's gone way up since in most places.
They're also writing
It's
that the
crazy.
attacks targeting Tesla are domestic terrorism, and those responsible will be pursued, caught, and brought to justice. The latest incident was in Austin, Texas, where the company is headquartered, and police reportedly found incendiary devices at a Tesla dealership in the city. Those devices were reportedly taken into custody without incident, and the bomb squad was called in to investigate the situation. Now, with that, no injuries have been reported, and you have the FBI aiding in the investigation, with the state's Attorney General Ken Paxton writing, the radical liberals encouraging these politically motivated attacks are sick and twisted. I stand ready to assist in any way to bring these perpetrators to justice. We're also seeing that a protest in Florida is making headlines after a man was arrested for allegedly driving his car into a group of anti-Doge protesters outside of a Tesla dealership. With Palm Beach County Police saying that the man drove the car over the curb and onto the sidewalk at a slow speed, and while the demonstrators were able to move out of the way, he did nearly strike several. With then, according to USA Today, the man...
That's what I'm saying, certified, legitimately. Like, I'm so tired of renting. I'm looking at, like, van life or trailer life, and, like, traveling abroad, because it's honestly, like, easier and cheaper for me to travel to other countries than to commit to renting in a place where I'd like to live, but it's just the rent prices. Like, I'm paying $2,400 a month for a one bedroom apartment, not a house, apartment. It's not a great apartment. It's falling apart. It's stupid. It's so and then I like the last year, so much money to rent. The year before, about $20,000 for the rental. I want to throw up talking about it, because I just can't even conceptualize what having $20,000 at once even feels like. And that, like, that money, like, if I were to take a year off renting, $20,000 would fix all of my debt, all of my problems, all of that's taken care of. But because I'm renting, I'm constantly in the state of paycheck to paycheck, in limbo, struggling, stressing myself out. And I'm tired. I'm tired of doing it. I went to the mental hospital last year, and it was on the day where the rent was due, and the landlord was telling me, I get paid to be mean. And I was just, like, having a mental breakdown, because I'm just, like, so sick of that attitude from other human beings. And so, yeah, I really think that transitioning out of constantly being in that, like, huge overhead cost of bills and everything, my mental health will be so much better, because I love being alive. I love nature. I love human beings. I love animals. I love everything about life. But the bureaucratic, like, paycheck to paycheck, you're gonna starve if you don't pay your bills type of shit. It sucks. It sucks, and I'm not the only one it sucks for. I know so many other people are struggling, and some people aren't, and that's great. And if you're not struggling and you think that I'm crying for no reason, just listen to other people and try and, like, listen to why other people are upset. They're not just, like, choosing to be upset because they're wanting to be, like, I don't know, rebellious. They're struggling. But yeah, thank you, Shift Happens. I like your name. You gotta live with multiple people to survive. Exactly. And it's like, unfortunately, it depends on the situation, because if you have, like, pets or kids, then having roommates becomes more complicated, like my situation. And it's just, yeah, it's just hard. It's hard, but yeah, like having roommates or like living on land with other people and having like separate dwellings is the way, which I honestly think that's the route I'm more gonna go, is like maybe renting a section of somebody's land for like a few hundred a month, like, and having my kind of setup, and then like maybe traveling or having my land and doing the same kind of thing. I think that really seems like a good solution. But yeah. Yeah, Batiar, I was just expressing, kind of, yeah, just the state of America right now. It's like the richest country in the world, but it's also one of the most unhappy and the biggest inequality, highest homeless population, highest prison population. And I've lived in America my whole life. I've never left the country. I'm turning 29 in 2 months. Wait, no. Yeah, 2 months. Less than 2 months. I'm turning 29 years old. And I'm just like really feeling like I want to see the world. I want to see how other people do it, because I know like I've been fed this idea that America's the best of the best. Always. And I don't know. I've met a lot of people from other countries online, and I know there's a lot more out there for me. Thank you so much, Shift Happens. I'm okay though, guys. It's good to let a tear fall here and there. Like when something's really affecting you, don't bottle that in. Like express it. Like let the tear fall. It's okay. It's not a sign of weakness. You're not bad. So young. Yeah, I'm so young. I'm so young, but like also like, yeah, my entire 29 years has been, I've been all over the US, but it's been all America, and I'm just, yeah, just curious what else is out there for me. And have a lot of passions. I'm really interested in linguistics, learning languages, psychedelic sciences, stuff like that. So I really think I can meet a lot of people, especially in like Portugal and South Africa and other places where there's like-minded individuals that we could get some good work done, in my opinion. Yeah. Yay. I love you guys. I'll take you guys with me on the adventure too, especially because it looks like the live streaming from my phone is working very efficiently, at least connected to Wi-Fi. So my laptops have been having issues, and that's been stressing me out, but I just figured I'm just gonna go live on mobile. I'm not yet monetized on YouTube, but I'm getting close to it, so I'll just keep on there. Yeah, Portugal, yeah, like, because I lived in Oregon for a bit, and I think what Portugal did differently than Oregon with decriminalizing drugs was Portugal, it seems to be that they have more support systems and better healthcare. So I think decriminalizing drugs worked more effectively in Portugal than, for example, Oregon. Not saying that it can't work in Oregon, but that we need to fix the healthcare system, and we need to get the supports in place for people who are like seeking, you know, support with addictions rather than criminalizing them. Yay, Shift! So glad to see you. So glad to meet you. I'm gonna resume this video now, but thank you guys for listening to my little talk. I love y'all.
He supported Tesla before walking out, and he's now been held on an assault charge. But also with this situation, like we've talked about before, these anti-Musk sentiments aren't only widespread in the US, but we're seeing people all over the world not happy about his role in politics in general, or American politics specifically, which has prompted boycott calls. And at least in Europe, it seems like those boycotts may have been successful so far. And that because sales of Tesla cars in the region have dropped over 40% in the first 2 months of the year. And notably, that's even though there was nearly a 30% overall increase in sales of electric cars. Now with all this, while I'll say, you know, the Tesla and the Musk backlash is real, there is one piece of Musk criticism that's making news that
What if I told you there was a
There's so
travel
many
group
ads. I need to go on
that
Brave
is
browser.
affordable for anyone 18 to 35 to explore the
All
world.
the ad
Guess what?
blockers
There
got
it
nuked.
is fake. Because if you've been scrolling Twitter or TikTok lately, you may have come across an audio clip claiming to show JD Vance slamming Elon Musk.
Yeah, I was wondering about this.
He's making me look bad. And I'll tell you this, and he wouldn't like it if I said it, but he's not.
Is that a real picture on the wall?
He is from South
It's JD holding a sign that says, "Trump took my job when Elon took his."
He is an elected official. I am an elected official.
But before you grab the popcorn and cheer on that the girls are fighting, I have to tell you that this appears to be some good old-fashioned AI. With one,
Yeah,
Vince, communication director,
what is
writing,
AI and what
audio
isn't these days with
fake,
politics,
and most certainly
especially,
not
guys?
President. Two, the firm
Yikes.
Reality Defender also told 404
Yikes.
Media that its software detected the audio as likely fake. But still, despite that, just one upload of it on TikTok didn't have an AI label, and it got over 2 million views and over 8,000 comments. Well, it
This is
appears
why
that that
nonviolence
highly
is
viewed
the
video
way?
has been removed. There are, of course, still
Tis the
re-uploads
way.
of it on the platform, with some calling BS, but also others seemingly falling for it. And then we'll get to more news in just a moment, but you know, if you're anything like me, you pushed off going to see a doctor, right? It'll heal on its own, I'm too busy, or most common one, which
Me
doctor
the
do I
last
go see?
4
We've always
years.
been there. Booking a doctor's appointment just feels so daunting. But thanks to today's sponsor, ZocDoc, there's no reason to delay. They make it so easy
Listen,
to
Phil,
find and book
there
a
is
doctor
a
who's
reason to
right for you.
delay
And
because I'm a
yes,
broke
I
ass
used it
bitch.
myself.
Okay,
ZocDoc's
Phil.
a free
Okay, Phil.
doc.com/Phil. But then, next up in the news,
Thank
we
you
gotta
so
talk
much.
about
Have
the
a great night
statement that
shift.
Nazis
Take
got
care.
better treatment than migrants in the
Thank you,
U.S.
love.
are getting right now, because that is what this federal judge just said. Friends, we gotta talk about why she said that, and more broadly, how the case this is about is fueling a GOP effort to rein in federal judges putting up roadblocks to Trump's agenda. And so with that, the starting point is that the Trump administration invoked the Alien Enemies Act of 1798 to deport 137 Venezuelan migrants with little or no due process, accusing them of being gang members, criminals, and terrorists without identifying these individuals or providing evidence. And this is they didn't
even identify them?
but instead to a prison in El Salvador where they're being forced to work. Right, while that was happening, U.S. District Judge James Boasberg issued a temporary restraining order to halt the deportations, with a big legal concern there, besides lack of evidence of due process, being that the deportation power claimed under the Alien Enemies Act is for times of war. But there, you had the White House arguing that the arrival of dozens of gang members to the U.S.
Okay,
constitutes a
so
state-sponsored invasion or
did anyone not else, like, did anyone not hear Donald Trump talking about a Muslim ban years ago? Like, is this not, like, what he said he was going to do? Like, he had been talking about he doesn't want any Muslims here, he doesn't want the Mexicans in here. Like, he's been talking about that the whole time. So this is, like, a lot of people are like, I can't believe Trump got elected again. I can, unfortunately, because I've met a lot of the people who would have voted for him, and it's just hard to convince them that Kamala or Biden would have been better. Like, just nobody was on board with that. Like, it would have had to have been Bernie or somebody else. Like, it just wasn't. Yeah, it's sad because there are people who were gonna vote for Bernie who voted for Trump. That's really sad.
mandatory incursion that justifies the law's
That's
use
what
without
everyone
Congress
wants,
declaring
though. He wants to ban all that. Everyone wants what?
Though notably, with that, a recent U.S. intelligence assessment recently contradicted Trump's claim that this gang is committing crimes in the U.S. at the direction of the Venezuelan government. But in any case, the planes were already in the air.
Yeah, no, the DNC fucked them over, bro.
Verbal
Like,
instruction
it was
to have the
weird.
flights turned
It was
around.
weird.
But later,
I
claiming
remember
it
that
had
because
really
that's when I
defied the
first
judge
really
because
got into politics, was when Bernie ran in, what was it, 2015, 2016? And before that, I was just kind of like, I don't know, like just like observing, but not really involved. And then Bernie started talking, and I was like, I fucks with this guy. I like what he's saying. He's like the first politician I heard where I was like, okay, like Obama was alright, but like Bernie like had just like this passion where you could tell he really, really wanted to create that change. But yeah. Couldn't vote for Trump, but I couldn't trust Kamala, and who was actually running the government. Bernie would have been fun at the time. Yeah, I did vote. I voted for Kamala, begrudgingly, very begrudgingly. I did not want to, but I was, told that it was the only viable option. So it's like, I don't want to give a vote to Trump, but I would have liked to have voted like Green Party or something. But, my county won blue, so it wouldn't have mattered. But I know a lot of people who just straight up didn't vote because they're just tired of it. I know a lot of people who have never voted because they've just, like it's all a bullshit game that they don't want to play. But it does matter, but it's like also, yeah, like the people that are, like even if a Kamala got elected, it's like the people who are paying Kamala and running things behind the scenes, like AIPAC or whatever the fuck, like the donors, like, and it's, yeah. I really think we need a ranked choice voting system, and I know it's hard to implement that, but I think it would be more of a viable, like, real choice for people. I think there's, like, some people who have, like, debunked the system, but just something that gives, like, more viability to the other options rather than the rigid, like, two parties that people are largely unsatisfied with.
His written decision didn't also specify that.
Now it's up to us to take care of each other, grab the popcorn, because we're just watching TV in real life at this point. Yeah, exactly. And that's like the thing, like outside of that system that is very broken and needs to be rebuilt and fixed. mutual aid, taking care of each other, loving each other, providing food for each other. Like, that's really, really so important. And I really hope I can, do more of that in the future. And maybe we could even do some live streams of stuff like that, because I just feel like I have to work constantly to pay my own bills and I'm stressed out. But, you know, if I can go on my phone, I might as well, you know, go out in the world more with you guys. When I feel safe, because sometimes I get really anxious about it. Like, I was at the con this weekend and I was like, solo. I was like, I don't know if I want to, you know, like, just, I wasn't feeling it. But that was my first time out in a while, but we'll do more of it. But yeah, grab the popcorn. Put some caramel on there.
Claiming that the judge lacked the authority in the first place, but with that, it's still trying to fight the decision in court. And this as they notably continue to withhold information demanded by Boasberg to try and determine whether officials willingly violated his order. And in fact, this week, the administration officially said that it wouldn't disclose any further information about 2 flights, with them claiming that doing so would jeopardize state secrets, impede future counterterrorism operations, and harm diplomatic and national security, with the DOJ writing in a court filing. The court has all the facts it needs to address the compliance issues before. And, you know, with that, I will say, the state secrets privilege is an actual legal doctrine that can allow the executive branch to block
next time.
Notably,
Sorry to hear that.
however, the executive branch would normally provide a detailed description of the sensitive evidence to a judge to show why it's too sensitive to discuss in open court. And so with that, you have the New York Times explaining the Trump administration's move is extraordinary in part because it's refusing to provide any information at all, even privately and in a secure facility for handling classified information. Although that said, the administration hasn't even technically claimed the information at issue is classified. Instead, submitting statements from Secretary of State Marco Rubio and Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, claiming that sharing the information in the court would jeopardize national security and foreign policy, including by making
so hard, and I just like they're so sore. I feel the muscles building.
And operational details secret, and by fueling public speculation about the matter. And then with all that, you had Boasberg yesterday denying the administration's motion to vacate his original order, writing that it should
I feel like I want to
place
smoke
so
cannabis.
Migrants could have the opportunity to challenge accusations that they belong to the gang. And this is also yesterday a federal appeals court in Washington held a nearly 2-hour hearing on another request by the Trump administration to stay Boasberg's order. With a saying there, one member of the 3-judge panel grilling a DOJ lawyer.
Yeah, I gotta get the arms next.
The Venezuelans could be deported.
I danced like a bit with my arms, but obviously like you work your legs more.
Could simply be declared a national security threat and flown out of the country. And they're pointing out that even German citizens arrested under the Alien Enemies Act during World War II had the opportunity to argue in hearings that the law didn't apply to them, and saying Nazis got better treatment under the Alien Enemies Act. But then, on the other hand, one of the other judges questioned whether the case was in Boasberg's jurisdiction, by suggesting that if migrants want to challenge their removal, they should do so in Texas, where they're being held. And this is the 3rd judge reportedly said almost nothing at the hearing.
I'm gonna change my shirt real quick, guys.
What their decision is and how this will ultimately end up. But in the meantime, this whole case has been at the center of outrage over the judicial branch's power. Because as you've seen, Trump, Elon Musk, and some hardline conservative Congress have been pushing to impeach the administration's agenda. Republicans in the House have actually already introduced articles of impeachment against certain judges, most notably Boasberg. Though with that, as of now at least, it seems extremely unlikely impeaching him or any other judge would win enough Republican support to reach a majority in the House. And in fact, some have already spoken out against the idea of impeachment.
Yeah.
Decisions. For example, Don
if you knew your muscles naturally grow, what?
That's been our tradition since 1789. And then, of course, with that, even if a judge was impeached, 67 votes would be needed for convictions in the Senate, where Republicans only have a 53 to 47 majority. And so with that being the reality of the numbers, Republicans have been exploring other options to crack down on what it sees as a rogue judiciary. So next week, for example, the House Judiciary Committee holds hearings on what committee chairs should characterize as
that sneeze was powerful. I think I have allergies. Spring's coming.
Reportedly discussing cutting off funding for the federal district court in Washington and other.
You love this shirt? Aw, we'll wear it again sometime.
System of district and circuit courts. And with that, you have Politico.
I just wanted to wear this shirt instead.
Funding talks for fiscal 2026.
Allergies help.
Conversations. But the idea that maybe getting the most traction, it's a bill that's been put forward by California Republican Daryl Issa, entitled the No Road Rulings Act to bar district court.
Okay, I got my cacao butter wafers from my
Mike Johnson, the Speaker of the House, he's now reportedly.
I might just use the rest of it. I don't know. Because it doesn't smell that good. I don't like using skincare products that don't smell good.
District court, we do have power over funding, over the courts, and all these other.
It's almost gone now. Could just use the container and mix some cacao butter in there.
And so with that, the chamber is reportedly set to vote on the No Rogue Rulings Act sometime next week.
Ooh, like watercolor?
The bill does make its way through the House.
Very cool, Delta. I have a watercolor panda on my back.
With that, Mike Davis, a close Trump ally who runs a right-wing judicial advocacy group, he's reportedly speculated that the legislation could be part of a broader package of court reforms, even including some that the Democrats have been pushing for in the past. And actually, with that, legal scholars on both sides of the aisle have in the past criticized the rapid rise of nationwide injunctions that as we'll get to in a bit, actually began before Trump. With one criticism, the rise of nationwide injunctions has led to an uptick in what's known as judge shopping. So, of course, there are still questions about the impact all of this could have. One legal scholar from UC Berkeley,
I'll be
for
right
example,
back,
told
guys.
the LA Times that the bill is a terrible
Smoking gas station weed? Is that even, like, healthy? Is that legal? Say what? Careful with that. Especially if it's synthetic. Be really careful. That shit can fuck you up.
parts of the country. But on the other hand, you have some experts claiming that in many cases the bill would have no effect because it carves out an exception for a 1946 law called the Administrative Procedure Act. Right, and that gives federal courts oversight with respect to the actions of federal agencies. And it could mean that many decisions criticized by the Trump administration, including Boasberg's, might not be affected. Though I will say that's unclear, and of course the bill is subject to revision. And then also on top of that,
yo, why is that though? Why are you getting that? Yo, Eric, good to see you. How you doing, love? Why? Do you not have dispensaries near you? Doing amazing today, Kaz. I have sore legs. I danced too much at the con. I went way too hard. I had a sake flask. And then I was in line at the anime bar because I wanted to check it out, and they were gonna have emo night there later. I want to see what it looked like. And then I met some of the go-go dancers for the anime rave, and then I was hanging out with them, and they're like, we have to go get ready like before. Do you want to like come up to our hotel room? I was like, okay. And they're like, we have tequila, you can have some. And I was like, okay. And then I played Uno with some cool people, and I had some tequila. But yeah, if you guys drink, you know tequila is strong as fuck, and I fucked myself up, but I danced so hard and I had such a good time. It was beautiful. I had so many cool people come up to me and be like, oh my god, I love your energy. And I'm like, oh my god, I love you. And it was great. It was great. I had a really good time. But I, like, am paying for it still. Because, yeah, like, the tops of my thighs and my calves, dead. Deceased. They're rebuilding themselves into more muscular structure as we speak. But holy shit, I've not been able to walk. I've not been able to walk since. Yeah, there wasn't like an after party. It was actually like a part of the convention. It was just like a 18+ rave at the convention center. It was really cool. I had a really good time. THCA, yeah, that's how Minnesota and I think Wisconsin got away with it for a bit before they legalized. They had Delta or something. It was $10 across the road. Ah, I see. Yeah, okay, just for now. Yeah, it was awesome. I'm working on making a little mini vlog for you guys. My laptops have just kapooted, unfortunately, so we've been having some issues with the editing process.
In the Senate to limit nationwide injunctions, noting that district court judges have issued record numbers
It will
of
come,
national
though.
injunctions against the Trump
We'll be here soon. How are you doing, Kaz? How's life?
More and more
Pretty good today, chillin'. Nice.
lately to support this claim that the judiciary.
We're about to do some self-care.
Talk about why it can be misleading. Because first off, yes, it is
Smoke a little
absolutely
weed.
true that the courts have blocked Trump's agenda more than any other president.
Because I'm sore. I haven't smoked today.
Rulings halting Obama's policies, that was also a record at the time. And so now you have the likes of Steve Vladeck, a Georgia professor who consistently cautioned about the increased use of.
Yeah, I didn't really like Delta when I tried it. I also just have this huge fear of like cannabis adjacent like experiments, essentially, because I had a friend in high school, I think it was high school, yeah, he had smoked like the synthetic stuff and he had a seizure and he like busted his face on like a step to like a patio because he smoked the synthetic and had like a seizure like on the patio, and he like busted his face open. It was bad. It was real bad. Yeah, like K2, like that type of shit. And so that was my first experience with it. And then when I was homeless in Austin, Texas, like obviously like it's hard to get weed, you know, because it's very illegal. So yeah, like they would sell K2 synthetic marijuana at the smoke shops. And so like a lot of the homeless people would go down and get that because they're like, I'm gonna need something to fucking smoke, you know, like, and yeah, it like people would turn into like zombies, like they like, because like when you're stoned, yeah, you're kind of like like, but they would just, you know, like it was pretty scary actually. I had, you know, friends tell me like I hit a blunt and I thought it was weed and it was actually K2 and I freaked the fuck out. Like, yeah, not good. That's why criminalizing naturally occurring substances is so weird, because people are always going to try and find a way in the black market, and it just makes things less safe, and it's not good. It's not good. End the war on drugs, guys. And especially cannabis and psilocybin and things that are, like, you know, not lethal. Like, why are we criminalizing these things? That doesn't make sense. Bumble, happy birthday! Today is the day, right, Bumble? Correct? Happy birthday to you, happy birthday to you, happy birthday, dear Bumble. Happy birthday to you. I actually didn't smoke the whole convention because I was in the convention the whole time. I hit like someone's vape, but that was about it. But I took a little break from smoking and I had a couple drinks, which I never drink, so that was rare for me. But I was going solo, so I was like, okay. I was supposed to have a friend go with me, but we couldn't find like a pet sitter or anything around that time, so. And the hotel we thought was pet friendly, but it wasn't. But oh well. Hello, Bumble, how you doing? Saw the same thing happen to a soldier because that's all he could smoke. Yeah, and I, especially like veterans, but I think soldiers too, like with the work that they have to do, like, let them smoke weed, bro. I don't know. I'm pretty sure, like, in the Vietnam War, right? Like, the soldiers who went to Vietnam, they were smoking weed over in Vietnam, is what I've heard from some people.
Issue, with pointing to the fact that these same people now decrying out of control district courts celebrated their.
It was cool because I actually I did some face painting, and I have some photos on my DSLR. I didn't get most people's contact info, but they were such sweet people. I hope I see them again someday. But I just kind of sat down because I had to check out of my hotel early Sunday, but the convention still went on till like 6. So I checked out and I brought all my bags and I was carrying them all by myself, and I was like, I do not want to walk around with this shit. This is way too much stuff. And so I sat down and I put out my sketchbook and I was like, free face art, donations accepted. And I said that I'm practicing. And so I painted people's faces and did some other body art and stuff. And it was so sweet. And so many sweet people came up to me. And there was this guy who's in the Air Force named Seth. And he's like, will you make me bonita? I was like, but you're already bonita. What do you mean? And so I did like cherry blossoms on his face, and then like he was a staff member at the convention, and at first I thought they were gonna like shut me down because I didn't have like a vendor's thing or a permit, but I was like doing it for free, so I was like, I hope people don't get mad at me. But yeah, he's like, will you make me bonita? And then there were other staff members like waiting in line for me to paint their face, and it was just super sweet. I loved it. I want to do that more often.
And of course, on the flip side, Democrats who criticize those rulings against Obama or Biden aren't complaining about them now. Though, to be very clear, the attacks against the judiciary that we're seeing from Republicans are on a whole new and another level.
Now we're gonna
say those attacks are justified because Trump hasn't just surpassed Obama's record, he's absolutely obliterated. For compared to the unprecedented 12 nationwide injunctions against Obama over 2 terms, there were 64 against Trump just in his first term. And already, at least 15 have been issued against his second term policies. And so that was reportedly a point made by ISA when he presented his bill to the Judiciary Committee with a chart showing the number of injunctions faced by each president. But of course, as many were quick to point out, maybe the reason it's happening so much under Trump is because he's doing so many more things that might be illegal. For the same, for example, Democrat Jamie Raskin.
Let's see, what time is it? I have an hour until my meeting.
Donald Trump having done something wrong. The reason there are 64 injunctions against him is because he is trampling the lawmaking and spending powers of the Congress of the United States. But for now, we're going to have to continue to see how all these cases play out, what Congress ends up doing, and if and what kind of impact it might have on them. And then we'll get to more news in just a moment. But first, my metabolism has always been a mystery to me. What to eat, when to eat, when to work out. Do you feel this way? Because, our metabolism's like our burning and converting food.
Phil is doing a sponsorship with a company called Lumen. It's spelled differently, but it's kind of funny.
Fats or carbs. At which point, Lumen gives you recommendations to improve your metabolic health. With all the running and the hiking,
I don't trust it. I don't trust anything named Lumen now.
Just breathe into it before and after work.
If you make your company named Lumen, nope. Nope, you're shit out of luck. I'm not buying it. I'm not doing it. Count me out.
Go to get 20% off your Lumen. That's LUMEN.me/. Flash to Franco for 20% off your purchase.
Ain't doing it, Phil.
Switching gears to a different bit of big news, 15 million people are scrambling right now to protect their data after the genetic testing company 23andMe announced it was filing for bankruptcy. Or with the company claiming that it'll still operate during this time, but for most people, the real concern is what is going to happen to their data. Now with that, the company claims that it is still dedicated to privacy, with a spokesperson saying, for our customers, our focus continues to be on transparency and choice over how they want their data to be managed. Additionally, they promise that the data it does have is anonymized. However, there are some doubts about how effective that is. So privacy groups like the Electronic Frontier Foundation having long warned that it's possible to re-identify such data. So,
I almost did one of those things, but I'm glad I didn't.
Data, but we'll likely have to wait and see what happens if the data is ever sold due to the bankruptcy proceedings, which is why you have privacy experts urging users to log into their
I'm an Irish mutt.
data, which
I'm Norwegian, I'm German, I'm Polish, Scottish, Irish.
You know, 23andMe going bankrupt, it's not the most surprising when you look at their business.
That's what I know,
Serious
I don't know.
issues getting repeat customers, with most of the 15 million users just being one and done. That's a pretty hard model to sustain a business. And instead, they've relied on selling anonymized customer data.
I send in my DNA and someone shows up at my door like, yes, you are the perfect Irish mutt we are looking for. We're taking you hostage. No!
The CEO, Anne Wojcicki, had wanted to buy out all the shares of the company herself, but the board didn't like that, and they resigned en masse. They also didn't like that Wojcicki had promised to reveal a plan for how to move the company forward for months, but never actually produced one. And now, as of today, Wojcicki herself has also resigned. And so, all of this has meant that the stock price has steadily plummeted ever since they went public in 2021. But at the time, they peaked at like $300 a share, whereas now the stocks are worth 99% less at under $1. And so it's widely expected that 23andMe will be out of business by next year unless bankruptcy proceedings.
Are you guys there?
And next up for your daily dose of good news, I'd like you to meet Sebastian. Sebastian is 21 years old, and for his entire life, he has struggled with chronic pain from debilitating sickle cell disease. If you don't know, sickle cell is an inherited blood disorder that, in the U.S., most commonly affects people of African, Mediterranean, and Middle Eastern descent. It can cause a range of symptoms, including blood clots and strokes, and it can even cut 20 years off your life. And it's caused by inherited defective copies of a hemoglobin gene, causing red blood cells in the body to be misshapen, which limits the cell's ability to carry oxygen. Because they're misshapen, the blood cells are more prone to clump together and cause blockages to blood vessels, which can lead to severe pain and tissue damage. Normally,
my face looks weird from this angle. I'm not used to looking at it from this angle, so I'm like looking at it on my computer. I'm like, I think this is the side of my face where people tell me I look like a bird. I look very cat-like here, I feel like, and then bird-like here. I used to go out of my way to like hide my face, because I'm like, oh, I hate my face, but it's my face. It's just how it is.
Sickle cell anemia can be treated with therapies that can control it, but not cure it. That said, there are some instances of getting bone marrow transplants from donors which can cure it, but...
Yep, we're here. Okay. I'm so sorry, guys. I'm looking at my computer right now, and my chat stopped working on my phone. So I was like, why isn't anyone responding to me? But I'm looking at my computer now, and I see it. Hi, Sonic. Tomorrow is your birthday, Bumble, but you'll take it. Okay, cool. I'll sing to you again tomorrow. I might have to restart my phone because I can't see my chat on my phone. You're so bonita. You're bonita. Aw, glad to see you guys too. It's 5:52 Mountain Time. Nice. Okay, I got a meeting at 7 p.m. It's a meeting with my assistant, or future assistant, Lumen, like the big stationery store. Lumen, there's this show called Severance, and it's like kind of a dystopian show about severing your consciousness while you're at work to be a better employee. And the company that they work for is called Lumen. Lumon. So, and they're like, yeah, they're like the Illuminati of that world. Like, it's trippy. So yeah, I'm like, Lumen, no. Scottish, Native American, Choctaw, and Cherokee, cool. Okay, cool. Like, let me fix this. Okay, I'm gonna restart the stream. I don't know why it's not showing the chat on my phone, but I'm just gonna go ahead and restart the whole stream real quick. I will be right back, guys.